two ambulance control rooms, one in Medway in Kent and one in Crawley in West Sussex. And we have a dedicated HEMS dispatcher who works in the control room looking at all the 999 calls that are coming in. And they're really the unseen hero of the service, because without them we would never get dispatched to a job. But they are looking at specific trigger points, so it may be a fall from height, a specific type of road traffic collision, specific type of industrial accident, and using those key triggers they will decide whether to deploy the helicopter, which carries an enhanced care team which comprises a doctor and an experienced HEMS paramedic. There are various levels of response that the ambulance service can deliver, and that goes right up to critical care paramedics who deliver enhanced paramedic skills. But there are some skills that those critical care paramedics can't deliver, and that's where the air ambulance comes into its own. So we always fly as a doctor paramedic team, and that means we can deliver enhanced pain relief drugs. We can carry out a general anaesthetic by the side of the road for someone, for example, that has a traumatic brain injury or particular chest injuries, and then we can convey that patient to the most appropriate hospital. We also carry blood and blood products, and we can do surgical interventions. So in extremis, we can open someone's chest, for example, if they've been stabbed in the chest, and we can do some minor surgical procedures to try and overcome the reason that patient may have gone into cardiac arrest through a traumatic injury. So it's those enhanced level of skills that complement what the ambulance service deliver.
On an average day, we see about 9 cases. That's partly going out on a helicopter, sometimes going out in our emergency response car. So in a year, that adds up to just over 3,000 cases a year. Yeah, so where we can, we try to use the helicopter because it means we get there more quickly, and it means we can also transport the patients to hospital a bit more quickly. But there are times when we can't use the helicopter, and that's usually because the weather is bad. We have special conditions, and our pilots and our aircraft mean that we can fly at night. We can fly in some weather conditions, but there are times when the weather is just simply too bad. And in those instances, we'd travel by car, which takes us a little bit longer to get there, but we can still bring the same equipment that we would bring on the helicopter, and we can still do the same things when we get there. It just means it takes us a little bit longer to get there, and it means that we can't transport the patients quite as quickly to the hospital. I mean, we see a huge range of cases, really. We see everything from babies being born where there are problems with the delivery or problems with the baby, right through children and adults conditions, and right through to the elderly. So we see a mix of cases. As David said earlier, it's generally the more complex cases. So probably one of the commonest cases that we go to would be road crashes. Around our region in Kent, Sussex, there's a big motorway network, as everyone knows, and there's a lot of high-speed crashes on the motorways. And so that would be one of the commonest things that we would go to. For patients who've got severe injuries, particularly bad head injuries or bleeding, either into the chest or into the abdomen, then we've got some additional equipment and some extra things that we can do on top of what the ambulance crews can do as well. And so the trauma patients are probably one of the commonest groups that we would go to see, and there's a number of things that we can do for the patients while they're on the scene that otherwise they might have to wait until they get to the hospital for. So things like some of the surgical procedures that we can do, administering blood products, some of the other medications. In other instances, those patients might have to wait until they get to the hospital for those treatments. And for some of the sickest and most badly injured patients, that wait of even half an hour or an extra 60 minutes can make a difference. So being able to do those things at the roadside is really useful for those patients. We're seeing a lot of other types of patients too. We see patients who've got problems with their heart, cardiac arrest, where the heart has stopped beating. And again, the ambulance crews are often the first ones on scene with those patients and can resuscitate patients and restart their heart. And again, there's a number of treatments that patients need in that first half an hour or hour after the heart's restarted. There's a number of things we can do to support the patients, look after their heart, protect their brain, and we can start those treatments on the scene. And the quicker we start those treatments, the more effective they are, and the better the chances of recovery for the patient. So those are probably two of the biggest groups that we deal with.
The other important thing is where you take the patient. So in the southeast there's a trauma network. So what we can do is assist in getting the patient quickly to the most appropriate hospital. And we know, particularly around trauma and those sort of critical interventions like heart attacks and strokes, if you can get to a hospital that can deal with you appropriately first time, your outcome is likely to be a lot better. So that's why the service aims to take you to the right place the first time. I worked for the ambulance service as a paramedic and then trained as a critical care paramedic. John is an emergency department consultant, and we both happened to join the air ambulance at the same time around 13 years ago. We've worked with the ambulance service, or with the hospital, and with KSS as HEMS doctors, HEMS paramedics since then. And we find lots of staff join us and actually spend a lot of their career working either full-time or part-time for the service. And combining a role in the NHS and a role with KSS means that you can bring those skills from both professions essentially into what we deliver by the side of the road. Best thing I always think is when patients or relatives come back to see us. You know, we see people in the worst moment of their lives, and to see them come back recovered from their accident, or to see the family come back and understand that everything that could have been done for their loved one was done, I think that's the most rewarding point.
It's a great job, it's a brilliant place to work, and we have an amazing team. I love coming to work. I think we get a chance to use our skills and our training, and we get to do it in an exciting and a challenging environment. And I work in the hospital as well, but I find the challenge of working on the air ambulance, we see a lot of the same sort of cases, but dealing with them outside of the hospital is much more challenging. And in a lot of our cases, we have a big team in the helicopter. We've got lots of people here at the base getting us ready to go out, and whilst we're out, we've got pilots as well as the doctor and the paramedic in the helicopter. And for a lot of our cases, everybody in the team has had to contribute to get us there safely, quickly. Then we deal with the patient, we work with the ambulance staff, ambulance crew very closely, and then the pilots get us to the hospital quickly. And when all of those things come together for some of the most badly injured or for some of the sickest patients, and we're able to do those things quickly and improve patients' outcome, that's a really rewarding part of our job. So I think working with a fantastic team is definitely one of the highlights of the job.
Yeah, it's incredible to think that we can do the job that we do thanks to the generosity of the people of Kent, Surrey and Sussex. So it costs over £18 million a year to run the service, over £50,000 a day, and people give to us generously, either putting £1 in a donation box, remembering us in legacies, getting together with friends at work and creating events to raise money. We have things like heli hikes that people can join in. We have a fundraising event that recently raised 1.8 million to help us buy our second helicopter. All of those things are the community coming together to support us. So I'd encourage anyone that's interested in that, go on our website, aakss.org.uk, have a look at the events that are going on, and if you want to join in and support us, we'd be really grateful for that.
So I'm relatively new to the service. I've only been here since February. I've just finished my A&E training, and pre-hospital career in pre-hospital medicine is what I had planned out for myself. I think the reason I chose it is because, as David really mentioned, we get to patients for whom time is of the essence. They're in their most helpless and vulnerable state. to be able to get to them and provide hospital level care, critical care. I think that's something I really wanted to be a part of, and that's why I'm here essentially. KSS is a great organization. It's a steep learning curve, but you get to observe and learn from those who have been doing the job for 13, 14 odd years. And if there's one thing I have clarity about, at the end of my tenure here, I'm sure I'll be a better clinician and a better human being. And that's the kind of personal growth I was looking for myself. Yeah, pre-hospital medicine actually hit me a little different. I thought that, yes, I've been working in A&E, I'm used to seeing sick patients day in, day out. And I thought I would definitely have a barrier. But I realized that in A&E, the patients are usually presented to me in a particular form. They're in their gown, hospital gown. I am able to dissociate from their environment. Sometimes even personally, if I'm running a code, I sometimes don't even gather enough information leading up to their name or family name, etc. But with pre-hospital medicine, ever so often I've gone into my patients' houses. Whilst I have been resuscitating them, I've looked around and I've seen their life. I've seen their wedding photos. I've seen their dog running around. And all of that affected me in ways that hadn't really happened previously. So to be resuscitating someone actively and to see the life around, his life around us, really did make it hard on myself. I think a lot of that, to overcome it, I talk to my colleagues, I talk to people who've been doing the job a long time, just to see what the defense mechanisms are. A few others, I think, once you're doing the job long enough, I think you will find your own ways to cope. But there's always support around. I'm always open to kind of talking it out, talking it through. Yeah. Not sure how my colleagues do it, but that's definitely the way I approach it. I'm an international medical graduate. I came in from India after majority of my training there, and it to this day blows my mind that everything that is predominantly done here is community driven. It's the community coming together to make sure that this happens. It's a direct reflection on the community wanting us to thrive and be there to help when they need us. And it completely blows my mind how day in and day out they stand by us so that we can have this life-saving service running.
So my name is Rachel. I'm a community fundraiser for Air Ambulance Charity, Kent, Surrey, Sussex. And I really just want to share some information about how important it is for fundraising for our charity. We're an independent charity and it costs 18.8 million a year to run our service. And 88% of that comes from the public and people like yourselves. We do amazing fundraising activities all throughout the year. And one of our next ones is Cowdrey Estate. And it's going to be on the 5th of October and it's called Heli Hike. And if you come down, you'll be able to meet the crew. We're going to be doing a 5-mile hike, I believe it is, and there's going to be just celebrating the work that KSS does and getting engaged with the community. So there's other ways to get involved to help with fundraising. So we have our lottery, which there's winners every single week. We have amazing supporters who do marathons for us, wing walks, they hike up Ben Nevis, all these different kind of things. So there's different ways to get involved. And also we have donations by legacy and in memory and individual giving as well. Our charity would be nowhere without our brilliant volunteers. So we have volunteers all across Kent, Surrey and Sussex who help us out with event stewarding, our collection boxes, which you might find in your local pub or local shop. And we wouldn't be anywhere without them, so thank you to them. KSS is so grateful for the public engagement and without you guys we wouldn't be able to keep on flying and saving lives. With our recent campaign, Buy It for Life, we've now been able to purchase our second helicopter, which is going to save so many lives and save us so much money. So thank you so much.